friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Alderon and I are here to talk to you about a book that is, I don't even know what words I have for this book. So this was not a book I was planning on talking about anytime soon. It is a book by an author I really enjoy, and I was actually planning on talking about it more like towards late September, sometime in October, for spooky season. But it just came in on hold for me. I read it on Sunday a couple days ago, and I realized that if I didn't talk about this book with you guys, that I would go absolutely insane. So here we are. It is way earlier than I expected to talk about this book. I did not expect this book to affect me the way it has, but I can't stop thinking about it, and we need to talk about it. So the book that I am discussing today is Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. Looking Glass Sound. So first off, Catriona Ward, if you have not read anything by her before, you are in for a treat. You really should, because she is just the queen of books that just take your breath away. That is how I like to think about them. So she has a book, The Last House on Needless Street, which has probably the biggest twist at the end that I've ever experienced in a book, ever. I could not sleep after I read that book, because the twist threw me off so much. And I knew there was a twist because everybody talks about that book particularly and says, you know, oh my gosh, there's such a crazy twist. And I was like, okay. I read a lot of books, I read a lot of twists, but that one, wow. So she's kind of well known for her crazy twists and taking you on roads through her books that you just did not expect to go down. So I was expecting that in this book. I was expecting, like all her other books that I've read, I was expecting to love this book. I was expecting to get enjoyment out of it. What I was not expecting was this book to completely take over my life during the time I was reading it. So for just to say this, it looks right, like the cover, when you look at this and the way the type is, you would think this is a horror book, right? And I think that her books are often generalized that way. They're generalized as, you know, she's a horror writer, you know, she writes these scary stories. And I just don't think that that is an accurate summation of what she does. Because, and particularly in this book, so I'm speaking about this book particularly. This book I don't really consider to be horror. I also don't really know what it is. It's not really horror. I guess it's a thriller, but there's also supernatural things in it, and there is a mystery in it too. So it crosses all kinds of genres, and to the point where they blend together and I don't really know what to call this. I guess a supernatural thriller that has a big mystery in it and is spooky. That would be like the best summation I would have of this book. Because, so if you're a person that doesn't like horror, you know, that's fine. You are going to still really like this book. If you like thrillers, if you like books that have mysteries at the core of them that you like picking away at until you get to the bottom of it, you are going to like this book. So when I say that this book took over my life, just to give you a little background that may or may not be relevant to this. So I'm usually reading at any given point in time multiple books at one time. So I'm the kind of person that reads many books at a time. A lot of that just because I read a lot, I read very widely, and I want to try to get in as much as I can. So at any given time, I'm usually reading an adult book, a YA book, a children's book, and also usually either a manga or graphic novel, and always a fantasy or science fiction book, all at the same time. And the way I usually do that, I promise this is gonna be a little bit relevant when I get to the end of this story. So the way I do that is, particularly on a weekend, if I have the day off, I will say, okay, I'm reading all these books right now. I'm going to sit and read 50 pages of this book, or I'm going to read, 30 pages of this book or whatever. And I parcel out my time like that. I say, all right, I've got, a couple hours. I'm going to read 50 pages of this, maybe 100 pages of this. And then that way I know I'm reading all of them at one time. So I was planning, hey, I'm going to start this book Sunday, Sunday evening. I'm going to start it. We'll get maybe 30 to 50 pages in. Let's see how I'm thinking about it. And then, we'll really start reading it through when the week starts, Monday or whatever. So I sat down with this book in my reading room here about 10 o'clock at night. When I tell you I did nothing else for the next 5 hours but read this book to completion, that is what happened. I didn't eat. I didn't get up to go to the bathroom. I didn't pay attention to anything around me. I could not put this book down once I started it until I finished it. It was like I was caught in this like fugue state and could not stop reading this book. So what is it about? What is it about is this book is a nesting doll of stories. There is this, it starts with this boy named Wilder, who is a high school boy, lives with his parents in New York City. His uncle owns this little cottage on the Maine coast and Whistler's Bay. His uncle has passed away and left this cottage to his family. His dad is like, you know, let's just sell it, you know, get the money for it or whatever, because they're struggling with money. And his mom says, well, all right, that's great, but like, let's go and take a vacation for once and enjoy it first before we do that. So they all go up to this Maine cottage and stay there, you know, for the summer. And Wilder, the main character, wants to be a writer. He's always thinking about ways he can write things down and, you know, catalog things later, his experiences to write down later. So he basically meets these two other high school kids, Nat, who is a boy, Nathaniel, and Harper, who is a girl, and he becomes really, really close with both of these people. So all three of them form this really tight camaraderie, like friendship, and they do all kinds of things together. They go swimming in the bay, they, you know, they make fires, and they cook things, they fish, and they're just really, really close. Well, when he starts to come out of his shell, basically, Wilder does, because he is the kind of boy who gets picked on a lot at school. He has not ever had any friends before he meets Nat and Harper, and his parents, seeing this, decide they're not going to sell the cottage. They're going to come back here every year, and he couldn't be happier about this. Wilder is ecstatic. So the following summer, the three of them get caught up in, there's this cove, this is like cave that they go to, that is beautiful but a little bit creepy, and there's all kinds of like urban legends around it. So something happens this second summer when all three of them are there, and it results in the fact that it basically splits these friends up. It basically drives this really horrible wedge between the three of them, because a lot of things become unraveled once they experience what they experience in this cave during that summer. So basically, another thing that is going on while this is happening is there's this, when I said there's urban legends, there was this serial killer that people, you know, it became over time this urban legend that they call the Dagger Man. You know, the Dagger Man would go in and like take pictures of people while they were sleeping and then give them the pictures, and like it was this really creepy thing going on. So this is all tied to what was going on with that. So now it is years later, Wilder has come back to this place because he's going to write the story of what happened. But as he starts to do so, a lot of he starts seeing things that he can't really explain. He starts receiving these notes from somebody from his past that really could not be sending these notes. And it is all just really, really weird, and he has to try to figure out what is going on, and he also has to try to figure out if what he's writing, like his memories, if they're as accurate as he perceived them to be. So that doesn't sound scary, right? That doesn't sound too scary. And when I say that this book isn't horror, it's because it's not scary in the way you would imagine a horror book to be. It's not like a boo gotcha, you know, thing like that. Somebody's going to jump out and or whatever. But this book was extremely unsettling. So when I was reading this book, there was this sense of dread that just seeped through me the entire time. As I was reading, all I could think of was, something's not right. Something isn't right here. There's something going on. I don't know what it is, but I'm not being told everything, and there's something wrong. And that like unsettling feeling just stayed with me throughout the entire book and propelled me into continuing to read it to try and figure out what in the world was going on. So not only is this book so, like, it's riveting. You cannot put it down. It's also beautifully written. Like, especially the scenes of the first summer when Wilder is there on the coast, and his experiences of, like, you know, friendship for the first time and falling in love for the first time, and the smells and the scent and the sights and the tastes of everything is just so beautiful and compelling. And the whole book is written that way. It's beautifully written. And Catriona Ward, like I said, if you've read her before, you know she's a fantastic writer. If you haven't, that's fine too. You have to start with this book. It's absolutely incredible. And, you know, Wilder is not, and you learn this fairly early on, he's not the most reliable of narrators. So you're through his eyes of this, you don't really know if what is happening is 100% correct. And there's just this feeling that you have that there's more going on and that there's something else happening that you just can't put your finger on. And there's a point in this book where I got to it when something was revealed that I literally screamed out loud. My husband came running in because he thought something happened. And it was just, I could not help myself. And when I was done this book, I had to just sit it down on my lap and I was just staring because I was trying to work everything out in my head. And I'm pretty sure that he thought I had a stroke, my husband. Bless him for putting up with me this Sunday, because I was just like, it was a fever dream reading this book. It was so good. It's complex. It's intricate. You will just not be able to stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. I think I want to go back and actually reread it again now that I do know everything, because there are clues all over this book. Everything in this book is important. Nothing is written as fluff. Nothing is written as a throwaway line. Everything is a clue and everything is important. So the last thing I just want to say about this book is I just want to read two quotes because I think that they really, really give a great like feeling of this book and the theme. Monsters, aren't we all, writers? She thinks. We eat everything we see. And the other one is, the human heart is deep and dark with many chambers. Things hide down there. And both of those quotes appear multiple times in the book by different people, which is another thing that is like very interesting and weird and complex. And everything about this book is like that. But I really, really, really highly suggest you read it. If you like reading books that have great mysteries in them, if you like picking apart mysteries, you will love this book. If you like thrillers, like books that will keep you up at night because you need to know what's going to happen, you will love this book. If you like spooky books, if you like feelings of quiet dread and knowing something is going on behind the scenes and trying to figure that out, you will love this book. If you just like books with really great writing, you will love this book. It is absolutely fantastic. I can't stop thinking about it. I hope you will read it. And if so, please let me know what you think of it. If you've read her other works before, tell me in the comments. Let me know what your favorite one is. But she's absolutely fantastic. And this one I think is definitely my favorite book of hers yet. Looking Glass Sound. Well, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that this book sounds super exciting and compelling to you and it's something you want to read. If so, please feel free to come pick it up from Farmington Community Library. And also thank you so much for watching today, friends. Please give this video a like and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week.